I'm going to call the meeting of Middleton Common Council for July 16, 2019 to order. And the first item on the agenda is the roll call.
Kuhn,
Here.
Burke,
Here.
Bizarre,
Here.
Ramsey,
Here.
Sullivan,
Here.
Nelson.
Here.
Okay, so the next item is the comments from the citizen present. It's limited to 3 minutes per speaker. And I'm going to call on Katie. She has, Katie Nelson, she has something to say.
Hi, I'm Katie Nelson. I'm the District 3 Alder. I wanted to just make a comment this evening to resolve that the Middleton Common Council is committed to all residents of Middleton, and that we resolve not to demonize any culture, not to demonize any gender, and that we won't foment hate to further any agenda, that we value the experience that each of us brings to the table, and that we believe that many voices make Middleton a better place to live. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Make a motion or not?
Well, we could draft one for a subsequent meeting.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Katie. Yeah, she represents the feeling of the whole council, and at a future meeting, we will have a resolution adopted, so. Anyone else who wants to speak? Yeah, go ahead. Identify yourself, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Sherry Gruder. I live in Middleton, but I'm also a sustainable design and energy specialist with UW Extension. So I worked on the city's 100% renewable energy resolution. And I just wanted to talk tonight about something that is coming up that's really important for forwarding that resolution and helping us to achieve the goals. And that is the shared solar program that MG&E is having with Middleton at the airport. And that project, the rates for that were just approved a couple of weeks ago by the Public Service Commission. We're waiting for the environmental impact assessment to be approved and a renewable energy rider, but all of that is probably going to happen within the next month. So why am I talking to you tonight? Just to let you know that the residents and the businesses have an opportunity to purchase solar for their electricity from this project. And the city's already committed to purchasing 0.5 megawatt from the project. So for the city, in doing that, it's going to help us get for city operations with the projects that are already there and the ones that are in the pipeline to 50% renewable electricity by 2020. Our goal was 25% by 25 and 100% by 2035. So the city operations is moving ahead and using this as a big opportunity. The resolution that was passed includes a community-wide goal, and that is to get to 20, the first part of that goal is to get to 20% renewable energy by 2025, and we're not even close. So this is an opportunity for people to be able to help us get to that community goal, and what's great about it is that you don't have to put it on your roof and incur the cost, the first cost of doing that installation, which could be on a typical household $15,000 to $17,000. So with the community solar, businesses, and that's small and medium businesses, and residents can purchase or actually join for a fee, and then you get a fixed electric rate for 25 years. So right now it will cost a little bit more, But in the future, since rates keep going up, it will probably save money on the electric bill. The other thing is the transmission part of the bill will be halved, and that's because we're producing power locally and it doesn't have to be transmitted from Iowa or somewhere else. So we're hoping to have a public information session, and actually Capital Brewery said they would love to host it, so that we get members of the chamber and as well as residents to come and learn about it. And the project is likely to go into construction maybe by October and be finished by the beginning of 2019, or 2020, I'm sorry, somewhere in there. So by 2020, we can be getting clean power. So I just wanted to make sure that you all knew about it. Shared Solar is, even though it's in Middleton, is available to all MG&E customers, and there's a waiting list. And people have been signing up. About half of that, the remaining power, because the Middleton School District and the city is buying, about 30% of it. So the other 70% is for customers. And we were told that Middleton residents and businesses have a short window to sign up for that and get preference. Right now, the waiting list has accounted for about half of the power that's left on the project. So there is ample opportunity. We're only allowed to offset 50% of our electric use with it, so it won't get us to 100%, but it's a start. So that's what I'm here to mention and make sure that it starts getting on people's radar screen, because the project's going to happen pretty quickly.
Yes, go ahead. Emily first and then Susan.
You said for individual households it'd be $10,000 to $15,000 to have it on their roof. What would be the cost in investing in this for comparison for families?
Sure. So, of course, they would have to calculate that. And if you go to mgne.com's website and you look up Shared Solar, they've got some tables on there for you to look at. So it's 50% of your average electric use. And the way it works is there is a share that you would buy initially, and it's $47.25 a share. So let's take a typical family. Typical family usually uses 6,000 kilowatt hours a year. And so that would mean you'd get about 9 shares to get to half of that to join. So that cost up front would be about $425 as opposed to $15,000. So that's the upfront cost. And then what they calculated was that in the first year, your electric bill would actually be more, but would be $90 more for the entire year based on today's rate. And
About
then
$10 a month more.
less, yeah. Right. So that's about what the cost would be. And then for commercial, it really depends on what meter type they have, and that would just have to be figured out. But typically around the state, when community solar projects have gone online, the commercial businesses have actually bought them out, and so different companies have actually put limits on how much can be purchased from the businesses. I hope that will be our situation, but who knows. So anyway, MG&E would help people calculate that, and when we hold the public hearing, we'll have literature and an MG&E rep there to help people figure that out.
Susan?
Yeah, I've already signed up and was put on the waiting list, so I was really disappointed because do we have a chance if we're on the waiting list of actually participating?
Oh, absolutely. So if you're already on the list, then you're guaranteed that you have it.
Okay.
What we were hoping is that we
need to-
wanted to make space for Middleton residents to get it so that the list didn't, there weren't too many people on the list, and our businesses and residents didn't get a chance.
Anybody else has a question for Sherry? Thank you, Sherry. That's really excellent. Great job. So I appreciate
you.
that.
Thanks for asking me to speak, Katie. At the Sustainability Committee last night, she said, why don't you tell
Alright.
everybody?
Good idea. Excellent idea.
If I could add, I think the MG&E plans to give a week or to 2 weeks lead time for Middleton. Does that sound right, Sherry?
Well, I'm sorry. Yeah, that was a little, originally they were gonna give us 2 weeks in advance, but they've already been advertising it to Middleton, and so, because there's enough capacity right now, I don't know that that's really happening, but, the sooner we sign up, the better before it gets filled. Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mayor Doug Swank, you want to say something?
Yeah, my name is this on? Doug Zwank, 1205 Murfield Court, Middleton, Wisconsin. And I'm here to speak on behalf of item 1 under miscellaneous to name the gazebo the John and Irma Hall Memorial Gazebo. I first met Jack when I was on the city council, and it's amazing all the things that he's done for our community behind the scenes. But in addition to having a successful business in the community, raising a family, and he's 95 years old, and I guess I would just like to see the city acknowledge the contributions that he's made in this small way. So that's my pitch. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doug. Thank you for your time. Anyone else who might want to speak? Okay, all right, so we
Mayor
are going,
Brard, could I
yes,
ask that we move to miscellaneous 1 and take care of that right now?
all right. So you want to make a motion?
I will move approval.
Second,
Okay, any questions or comments? Well, this is really excellent thing to do, and I am completely in favor of it. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes. Doug, you can go and celebrate and let Jack know. Okay, it is beyond 7:35, so I'm going to open the public hearing for public hearing number 1, B&B Lake Geneva LLC is requesting a Class B fermented malt beverage and Class B intoxicating liquor license. They are located at 7605 Elmwood Avenue in Milton, Wisconsin. Anybody who wants to speak either in favor or against it? Anybody who wants to speak either in favor or against it? Okay, if there are no takers, I'm going to close that part of the hearing and move on to the second public hearing. This is Billow Sports Bar and Smokehouse LLC is requesting a Class B fermented malt beverage and Class B intoxicating liquor license. They are located at 3112 Parmenter Street, Milton, Wisconsin, and Taylor Stussy is the agent. Anybody who wants to speak either in favor or against it? Anybody who wants to speak? All right, if there are no takers, so I'm going to close that part of the hearing, and we are going to go to the presentation from very popular Chief Chuck Folk.
Thank you. If I may veer off for a second, and Alder Nelson, I appreciate you bringing up what you brought up. And I know you were talking about a wide variety of issues, but one of the ones that's kind of first and foremost right now in our community and our country is ICE and their enforcement of immigration laws. And I would just like to reassure our community and you that Middleton police officers do not enforce federal immigration laws. Dane County Sheriff's Department does not honor ICE detainers. That's a countywide policy, and I'd like to just read a quick paragraph that every Dane County Chief of Police signed off on, and that is being practitioners of community policing, we realize the chilling effect that the threat of deportation has on people of the immigrant community. We want all people to feel comfortable working with the police, reporting crimes, being witnesses, and otherwise participating in everyday activities in our communities. So again, we do not enforce federal immigration laws, and thanks for bringing that up. And as I say, I know there's a lot of other things besides that, but that I know from our conversations was one of your concerns, and some of your constituents had those questions. So
Thank you, Chief.
Thank
for
you.
you on that.
That's really, really good to point it out so that the people are aware of it.
Great.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, and we do work very closely with Central Hispano, our school district, and getting that word out. So I'm here tonight to talk a little bit about the theft from vehicles, of vehicles, breaking into homes and so on. I put out a statement on social media, and Alder Fazard asked if I would kind of expand upon that. So I just happened to be going back through some notes, and I saw that I had put this out on social media last year at this time. Notice that that's June 30th of 2018. And again, we were having issues then with people stealing cars, stealing items from cars, breaking into homes, and so on. If you would go to the next slide, please. This is what I put out July 1st of this year, and that was because we'd had a recent spate of break-ins, and there was a lot of conversation on social media about really sophisticated methods that people were using to break into cars, open garage doors, using key fobs to steal cars. And frankly, while that can happen, that is not the case in the vast, vast, vast majority of these thefts. The vast, vast, vast majority of these thefts are occurring because people are leaving their cars unlocked. They're leaving keys or fobs in their cars, or they're leaving their garage doors open, and people are either going into the garage to steal a car or then going into the house and taking fobs. And that really scares me. When somebody is in your house, there is nothing scarier, and we're really, really concerned that we're going to have a stand your ground type of incident, a deadly force type of incident. And believe me, when I hear the warriors on social media talk about, well, they better not come into my house, that would be a life-altering incident if it occurred in your house for you, for your family, and obviously the person on the receiving end. So we want to prevent that. This is not victim blaming. This is forewarning people and giving them the power to prevent this from happening to them. And I get it. It's not fair that you can't go out into your backyard, mow your lawn, and leave your garage door open. It's not fair if you leave your garage door open by mistake some night and somebody comes in. Yet, it happens, and we have to be vigilant about it. So could you go to the next slide, please? I tried to get as creative on the slides as and graphs as finance, but they're much better than I am. We have a data analyst that works for Middleton, Fitchburg, Monona, Sun Prairie, and Verona. We're on a shared records management system. So if you can make out anything on these graphs, you'll see that we're faring fairly well compared to our other suburban agencies. So Middleton's on the left. You'll see that light blue. We had 23 stolen vehicles in 2018, projected to have 17.6 this year. Compare that to Fitchburg that had 64 last year and 83 projected.
Wow.
Monona's close to us. Sun Prairie's the other outlier. They had 67 last year, projected to have 73. If you go to the next one, you'll see Madison is even more significant. 2017, 424. Last year, 447. And 2019, year-to-date, 2013. And then one more, please, Melissa. Dane County, and of course, they're more of the rural areas of the county where they police. 132 since January 1st of 2018. So why don't you go to the next one then? So what's going on is there's a group of people, it's a gang that started at Jefferson Middle School about 2 or 3 years ago. It's called the Thought Up Gang, and Thought Up is spelled T-H-O-T. And it's a group of kids that has now gotten 3 or 4 years older. The numbers have increased, but they are responsible for the vast majority of these thefts from vehicles. And what we're seeing is in burglaries, items taken from open garages while people are working in the yard, as I mentioned, homes being entered while the residents are home, many times when they're asleep, through unlocked doors, homes being entered through an unlocked door while the residents are away. And we're seeing home video cameras are showing that folks are looking in obvious places where we typically hide our keys. And then underground parking facilities are also really easy targets. So next one. Then thefts from autos. Again, unlocked vehicles being rifled through and items taken. Locked vehicles having car windows smashed. And really, we're not seeing a ton of that. Again, that's almost too much work. It's just they're going for the really easy targets. And again, underground parking is always a pretty easy target. Next. And then as far as the theft of autos go, and these are all connected, vehicles are stolen when keys are left inside the vehicle. Sometimes they'll get into a home and take keys to steal the car. And I'll tell you that I am not an expert when it comes to key fobs. I had my key fob in my backpack. I threw it in the back of my car, which is an SUV. My car wouldn't start. I've heard other people say it can be 14 feet away. So it would be, say, in your house. If they got into your garage and the fob was in your house, perhaps you could start the car. You can't restart a car, though, if the fob is not with the vehicle. On the other hand, you don't drive away 50 feet and it just automatically stops either. Usually you're good for one run, but then as soon as you turn it off. But each fob, each car is different. But make sure you don't have a fob in your car. And here's a good trick is leave your fob in the house and try to start your car. And if it starts, there's a fob in your car, so get it away. And a lot of people have the giant key right in your, come on, admit it, right when you walk in from your garage.
Yep.
There's a key and you hang keys from there. Okay, well, some people do. Get rid of that. So next. And then what are we doing? So we're an aggressive patrol department. And we have significantly reduced our traffic citations because of our effective people on poverty and disproportionate arrests and so on. We've really backed off on issuing citations, but we haven't backed off on stopping vehicles and giving warnings and so on. So we do have a bit of a reputation of being an aggressive police force. And I use aggressive in a kind of a positive way, if you will. But I don't know if that has had a reason why we have less thefts than some of our suburban neighbors, but I'd like to think it might be one of the reasons.
So you're sort of proactive, and that's a good thing.
We are very proactive, yes. But that also comes to unallocated time, and as you recall from our staffing studies and so on, we want to have our patrol officers have about 33% of unallocated time, and right now they're about at 10 or 15%. So that's a staffing issue. How quickly we can get to suspicious incident calls is also key. And again, that's our timing on priority calls. Again, that's a staffing issue. We work very closely with our area law enforcement partners. We do investigate these cases. We take DNA on every stolen car. We're using PIN register, GPS tracker, social media monitoring. You wouldn't believe what these folks put on social media. There's task force operations that happen. But we're also trying to work with these youth and their family. And so the Dane County Chiefs of Police Association, the law enforcement and Leaders of Color collaboration have worked with the DA's office, courts, judges, juvenile detention, faith-based organizations, school districts, human services, JFF workers, trauma specialists, mentors, community activists. But I will be the first one to tell you that we have not been successful. We're still seeing these crimes happening in the winter. It's when folks are warming up their cars, and the summer just driving around. Judges are loath to send youth to corrections right now. They're not going to send them to Lincoln Hills for a stolen car. There aren't real appropriate, culturally appropriate trauma specialists or alternative sentencing places where they can send many of these youth. Oftentimes they come from a long history of dysfunctional families, single-parent families. So there's a lot of issues there. I would be the first one to admit that we have not turned things around as far as preventing these from happening. And that's why you'll hear the mantra from me and my fellow chiefs and anybody else that will get out there. We're asking you to do what you can do to prevent being a victim. And those are secure your vehicles, your home, and your belongings. Don't leave your fobs in vehicles or your keys. Don't warm your car up in the winter unless it's locked and you have a couple different keys or whatever. Close your garage door and be a good neighbor. And if you see somebody's garage door is open, let them know. And my neighbor leaves her garage open all the time. And now I got her text. I just texted her. Shut the door. And notify police of suspicious behavior. And that's a tricky one because not every black kid in a neighborhood is suspicious. But when we see youth swarming a neighborhood, knocking on doors, checking where people would be hiding keys, checking in cars and so on, please call the police about that. And gosh, if you own a firearm, be responsible and don't leave it in a car. I can't tell you how many cars we have stolen that there's guns in there. And if they're in your house, make sure they're secured.
Thank you.
So be happy to answer any questions or,
Any question for the chief?
yes.
Yes, Susan. And then Emily.
I would like to get a copy of this to send to some of my constituents.
Sure.
And I would also like to say, yesterday, I was explaining to my grandson, when we went out the front door to go into the backyard, he wanted to know why I was locking the door. Can I tell him that you said so?
You tell him I said so. And I also get that stinks. We shouldn't have to do that, but let's do it for a while.
Emily.
Yes.
So it sounds like we might need to invest a little bit in some staffing and tech. Is that sounds like a good budget request, possibly?
Staffing and what was it?
And tech
Tech equipment?
adoptions?
Yeah. Well, you guys have been very generous in how you treat the police department, and obviously we do have a 5-year staffing study that calls for additional officers, and I listened to what Bill and Melissa told us this afternoon. I get what the issues are, but staffing is always an issue, but it's an issue for my fellow department heads and the fellow departments in the city. We're all working pretty hard right now.
So I'm hearing yes.
Yes.
Just yes for everyone? Yes?
That's for everyone, yes.
Thank you.
So when we get that pile of money dropped on us,
Okay,
yes.
Katie and then Susan. Anyone else? Katie, go ahead.
Could, is it Zeki? Could Zeki be the spokesperson for the K-9 officer? Could he be the
Lock your door,
spokesperson to lock your door?
Everybody loves a
Great
dog,
idea.
don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, we can. There have been a ton of, commercials on TV, social media, blasts from all sorts of different police agencies around here, though, and yet I'll go to a meeting and people say, "Gosh, I didn't know we were having this issue," and it seems pretty obvious to me, but I get it that some people just don't realize that. And speaking of that, Alder Fassard has asked me to speak at one of his neighborhood meetings. I or one of my colleagues would be more than happy to come if you folks have a neighborhood meeting, want to discuss this or anything, and maybe even bring the dog.
Excellent idea,
Oh,
Katie.
nice.
Susan and anybody else want to? Anybody else has questions?
Chief, when I got
Okay,
on
yes.
council,
And then Robert.
Chief, when I got on council in 2008, I learned in the Citizens Academy that you had 3 to 4 officers out on the street at a time. How many do you have now?
That's pretty typical. We have a minimum staffing levels. It's typically 1 or 2 patrol sergeants and 4 or 5 patrol officers. At night, sometimes it's only 3 patrol officers. But
So we have not grown
not significantly to increase
police
our
population.
patrol staffing study at any one time, no.
Robert.
Whether it's thought up or some other kids or groups, are they? You said they started up a few years ago. They keep doing this. Is it like a rolling new members, younger kids, or are like they turning 18, 19, 20 and still doing this kind of stuff?
A little bit of both, Robert. It started from a core of probably 15 or 20 kids, literally, to perhaps in the low hundreds now. And some of them are getting to be adults. and are graduating into other areas, and there's still that young cohort. And what we're seeing, though, with these stolen cars has maintained oftentimes 13, 14, 15-year-old kids stealing these cars, which is what's really scary because they're really lousy drivers. And yes, we do not pursue stolen cars. Will only chase vehicles if it's a violent felony, and I'm very comfortable with that. It takes a lot of discipline from our officers because that is not their instinct. But we feel that chasing a car in general is way too dangerous for the public, and especially when you have a knucklehead 14-year-old that doesn't know how to drive, driving crazy even before the cops get behind them. So that is our policy, and frankly, it's the policy of most departments in Dane County.
Anyone else before Susan? Susan, go ahead.
Chief, I would like to thank you for that no chase policy. One of my aunts was killed by a policeman in a chase, and she was in a parked car.
Sorry.
Chief, I have a question. Let's say if the people were to just do two things, lock your cars, lock your garage and house, that will reduce more or less half of this problem or even more?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to quantify it, but it would significantly reduce the opportunity. And these are crimes of opportunity. So those are probably the two biggest ones, yes.
So everybody lock your cars and lock your house. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you,
shut
Chief.
your garage door. Yeah.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we are on to approval of the consent agenda.
Move approval.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the consent agenda say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously. We are on to agreements, and number one is the intergovernmental cooperation agreement with the Milton Cross Plain Area School District regarding the employment of school crossing guards.
Approval is recommended by finance.
Second that.
Any questions or comments? This is a very good thing to do. All those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously. Number two, School Resource Officer Program Agreement between the Milton Cross Plain Area School District.
Move approval is recommended by finance.
I'll second.
And Larry, do we need to put that date thing there, or that's?
Well,
fine?
it does need to be fixed, but that was included in the finance committee motion.
Okay, okay. All those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously. Item number three, Stormwater Management System Maintenance Agreement with AX Medicine Greenway, 8401 Greenway Boulevard.
Move approval.
Second.
Any questions or comments? This is simply a routine thing, so. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously. License agreement, fence encroachment at Free House Pub, 1902 Parmenter Street.
Move approval.
Second.
Yeah, it's actually going to make things look better. So all those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously. Item number five, review task order number 19-04 with Strand Associate Incorporated for tax incremental district number 3, engineering support services. This is
Move
for,
approval is recommended by finance.
Second.
it's for $50,000. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously. Item number 6, consent to collateral assignment of SIF agreement from Stardust Investment LLC of Farmers Savings Bank.
Move approval is recommended by finance.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Again, it's Mike, go ahead.
Just that it was subject to city attorney approval at the finance committee recommendation.
Yes. Okay, any other questions or comments? All those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously. Number 7, Stormwater Management System Maintenance Agreement with Springs Window Fashion LLC.
Approval.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously. Item number 8, agreement with professional service with the SEH for community campus planning services for downtown.
Move approval?
Second.
Larry, you have anything more to say?
No, it's fine.
Okay, all right. Okay, all those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously. So we are on to award of bid, court and professional services, and item number 1. Award of quote to Boley Tree Landscape for tree removal work.
Move approval is recommended by PRFC and Finance.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously. Item number 2, award of quote to Boley Tree and Landscape for stump grinding
Move
services.
approval is recommended by PRFC and Finance.
Second.
Okay, just grinding the ones which was cut under number 1. All those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously. We are on to licenses. Application for a Class B liquor reserve license by B&B Lake Geneva LLC, doing business as Board and Brush Creative Studios, 7605 Elmwood Avenue.
Move
We just-
approval?
Second.
Okay? So why do we call it a reserve, Larry?
This has to do with the fact that some years ago, the legislature at the behest of the Tavern League adopted a requirement that when you get to the last few licenses before reaching your quota, that we are required to impose a $10,000 fee in addition to the normal license fee upon the application. This is non-negotiable. I believe we are still also doing a, if they do open up and operate for a while, if I remember correctly, we have a program where we have an economic development grant back to the licensee of, I think it's $9,500 of the $10,000 to lessen the burden. And if I've got those numbers wrong or those facts wrong, I hope someone will correct me.
Larry, I thought the state took away that ability.
You're right, they took away the reimbursement, so you are absolutely correct. Thank you, Mike.
So we can't do that then.
So we can no longer rebate it, so we just have to keep it. It's a boon, it's a windfall to the city.
Okay.
That's just how it is.
Any questions for Larry? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Not a question for Larry, just, is it, so is
Any
this,
questions?
is Board and Brush, are they new? I'm not familiar with that business.
Yes.
Yes.
That is awesome. Okay, well, I look forward to learning more about them, now especially if they have a liquor license.
They're on social media.
Excellent.
They're putting their signs up.
You like to paint, Robert?
Paint boards
Maybe.
Then it's first.
Board and Brush.
and drink wine and beer.
Okay, all those in favor of this motion to approve this application for Class B liquor reserve license by B&B Lake Geneva LLC, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes. We are on to miscellaneous. We already passed number 1. We are on to item number 2. Funding options for non-stormwater flood recovery projects.
Move approval is recommended by Finance.
Second.
Any questions or comments? These are 3 different projects. All those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously. Item number 3, use of the stormwater utility funds for Graber Tiedemont Pond concept designs.
Move approval is recommended by Finance.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Yes, Susan?
Yeah, I want to comment. I know Katie last time asked for a list of projects that we had that need stormwater funding. And I would like to see that with it broken out as to which projects there might be reimbursement by FEMA, which ones there wouldn't be, so that going forward, we've got some idea. Also on this, I would like for everybody to look up the minutes from Water Resources Commission of 6/19 and actually read the MSA proposal. And they do outline the cost for this project. And the dredging was listed at about 100,000 to $1 million. The new storm sewer and additional pump is at that same level. Keep in mind, we only have and neither of those would be covered by FEMA. That would use up almost half of what we will be taking in on the stormwater utility through the referendum. You're disagreeing, Mark?
I'm disagreeing that they would even be eligible for utility funding.
Okay, that's a different, I'm just saying if they were eligible, it would use up half of it. I would like for everyone to be fully aware of all the projects in the city that require it. We have a tremendous amount of work to be done on the creek corridor. And keep in mind that creek corridor is, I say its number one function is a stormwater conduit to get water to the lake. Number two, a sanitary sewer goes under all of it, which we have to protect. And a significant amount of that is not covered by FEMA. So the utility will have to cover that cost, or capital borrowing. We also have Graber Pond, which, again, we didn't get an estimate from MSA on those costs. There's other concerns. I've got a concern, Luke does, on Hidden Oaks.
Mhm.
Hidden Oaks with
can we
flooding
just-
that's coming in.
We just focus on what's here in front. There is a vast list of projects for
Right.
stormwater, but
You're interrupting me,
I know, but
and he's supposed to
It's
keep
a
you
more-
quiet while I'm speaking.
Okay, excellent point, Susan. So Bill, you already have a list of things which Susan is asking, and,
Well, I think it's more
Yes.
Matt needs
Did
to
you
give
get
it. That doesn't really describe
Right.
what I'm talking about. We
Right.
know there's the Donna Dry Pond and the Scours.
so do you
There's
want to
small
make a list,
sections.
Susan, or would that be, if
I
you
would-
have it, give it to Bill, and let's have that for next time.
I
so.
do not have that list.
Okay. You want to
It's-
work with Bill or someone else? or-
Can I finish?
Yeah, go ahead, finish it.
Matt Amundson has a lot of this information. I think Gary Huth does. We need to get some idea from that, the magnitude of it. Because I think before we make decisions going further, we need this information. We can't make them in good conscience without knowing some magnitude of what all we're going to have to pay for.
Excellent points, and I think most people will agree with you. Robert?
Well, I would absolutely agree that if people would take the time to read the Water Resource Management Commission report from MSA, I will point out that what we're talking about today is the $37,000 and for the study, and we are not committed to doing any of their recommendations, but that was kind of a back of the envelope. Yeah, dredging a pond could be very expensive, but I think we need them to do their work so that we can understand what the full ramifications could be for any options going forward. And while I recommend that you do look at these estimates, let's kick them off and doing what they need to do so that we get more hard and fast numbers for our possible options going forward.
Excellent point, Robert. Yeah, let's get the numbers first. Anybody else? Okay, the motion is to approve the use of stormwater utility funds for Graber and Tiedemann Pond concept designs. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously. Item number 4, purchase of the pump for use of at Graber Pond.
Second.
Second.
A deferral to what?
well, the anticipation is that the above item will take care of that.
Very good, thank you.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion to defer it to some other time, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes. Item number 5, approval to recruit for tourism, convention, and event services manager.
Move approval is recommended by Personnel and Finance.
Second.
Let's make Julie very happy. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes. We are on to the ordinances. This is the first reading. Final action may be taken upon approval of motion to suspend the rules under section 1.07 of Milton General Ordinances. Item number 1. An ordinance to amend section 15.031 relating to stop sign locations as recommended by the Public Works Committee on 610, and additional locations are included in the attached memo from the Public Works Director, Sean Stowski.
I'll move approval with a motion to suspend the rules under section 107.
Second.
Excellent idea. So any questions or comments? There are 2-3 signs. These are all in community of Bishop Bay. So all those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes. Item number 2, an ordinance to amend various traffic code provisions relating to parking and bus stops. So it's, Sean, you want to say anything? They're essentially moving the bus stops from, well, go ahead.
Yeah, come on up.
Yes.
Make sure I'm fully understanding
Yes,
of
from you.
parking and bus stops.
Yeah, why it was done and where, so.
Right, so with the reconstruction of University Avenue downtown, some of the bus stops moved.
I saw that in a newspaper article. Were you getting
Yeah.
feedback on that?
Some, for
Okay.
one in particular, but people like buses, so.
Yes, Robert.
Again, I'm reading things probably out of context, but what does it mean when it says University Avenue at Bristol Street, eastbound far side, westbound far side, and westbound near side? I don't know what westbound near side versus westbound far side.
Of the intersection, so if you're on University Avenue heading west, right, you could stop short of the intersection, near side, or just past the intersection, far side,
Got it.
as to where they're gonna stop.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
that has been Madison Metro's preference in less developed areas for some time. Obviously, there are lots of exceptions, but, then the bus doesn't end up at a stop sign after it loads people or a light. It can take off after it gets its people.
Did you say less developed areas?
Well, we're not like downtown Madison, are we?
Well,
Medium development areas,
Yeah.
I don't know,
So I believe these signs are already in, because the road's opening tomorrow.
whatever.
Oh, yay.
Buses aren't there yet.
Okay.
Right.
So you did suspend the rules, right?
I would move to suspend the rules.
Okay,
Approve.
all right. Okay, any other questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Had a second.
So we need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to
Thank
adjourn.
you.
Okay, we are adjourned.
I didn't think it did.